Welcome back, listeners. Ready for another deep dive into the past?
Always ready.
Today, we're going way, way back, further than we've ever gone before,
Intriguing. Where are we headed?
to a time before written language, before recorded history even, to explore the origins of music, prehistoric music.
Ah, the music of our ancestors. A fascinating and mysterious subject.
Absolutely. We're talking about the soundscapes of early humans, those who walked the earth tens of thousands of years ago.
You know, when we think of prehistoric, we often picture cave paintings, hunting tools, basic survival.
Right. But what about their sounds? What did their music sound like? What role did it play in their lives? That's what we're here to uncover.
And I think what makes this deep dive so compelling is that music is more than just sounds. It's a window into their culture, their beliefs, their very essence as humans.
Exactly. And, I think a lot of people assume that prehistoric music was just like cymbal drumming or chanting.
Yeah, very basic, purely functional.
Right. But we're going to see that it was much more than that. Our sources reveal a surprising complexity and diversity in their musical expression.
I'm excited to delve into that.
I am too. So to kick things off, let's talk about what we actually know about prehistoric music. It's not like we have recordings, right?
Huh. Wouldn't that be amazing? A prehistoric Spotify playlist.
I know, right? But seriously, what kind of sources do we have?
Well, we have to piece together the story from archaeological evidence. And luckily, there's quite a bit to work with. Things like, well, obviously the instruments themselves. Archaeologists have uncovered some truly remarkable finds.
Like the bone flute. Everyone's heard of that, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's kind of the star of the show when it comes to prehistoric instruments.
The one found in Germany, carved from a vulture bone, over 40,000 years old.
It's incredible. But it's not the only one. Bone flutes have been found all over the world, dating back to those early periods.
So we know they were making flutes. What else?
Drums. We found evidence of drums made from mammoth bones and other materials, some dating back almost 20,000 years.
Wow. Mammoth bone drums.
Yeah. And not just drums. Think rattles, scrapers, even bull roarers.
Bull roarers.
Yeah, you know those flat pieces of wood that you swing around and they make that.
Whooshing sound.
Exactly. Evidence suggests they were using those too.
So they had quite the orchestra going on.
They did. And, you know, the materials they use are fascinating. They were working with bone, wood, animal skins, gourds.
Talk about resourceful.
Right. I mean, it really speaks to their creativity and ingenuity, finding ways to create music from the materials around them.
It's inspiring, in a way. Like, they had this innate drive to make music, even with such limited resources.
And I think that speaks to how essential music must have been to their lives. It wasn't just a luxury. It was woven into their daily existence.
I think that's a great point to dive into deeper. Let's talk about the why behind the music.
Mhm.
Why was it so important to these early humans?
Well, there are several theories, but it seems like music served multiple purposes. It wasn't just about entertainment. It was about survival, social bonding, spirituality.
So music as a multi-tool, basically.
Exactly. Let's start with the social aspect. Think about it. Early humans lived in small, nomadic groups. Cooperation and coordination were absolutely essential for their survival.
Makes sense.
So how do you build that kind of cohesion? Well, music might have been the key.
Okay, how so?
Imagine a group chant or rhythmic drumming. What does that do? It synchronizes people, literally brings their bodies into the same rhythm, creates a sense of unity and togetherness.
It's like a shared heartbeat, almost.
Exactly. And that shared rhythm can then be harnessed for practical purposes, too. Think about coordinated hunting or communal work or even just moving as a group from one place to another.
The music helped them work together, basically.
Exactly. It was a powerful tool for social cohesion, which in their world was directly linked to survival.
Fascinating. And then there's the spiritual side of things.
Yes. And that's where it gets really intriguing because we're trying to understand the mindset of people who lived in a world so different from ours.
A world full of mystery and the unknown.
Right. They didn't have scientific explanations for natural phenomena, for the cycle of life and death, for the forces of nature. So music may have been a way to cope with that uncertainty, to connect with something larger than themselves.
It's kind of like how some people today use music for meditation or prayer, right?
Yeah. It can create a sense of awe, of connection, of transcendence. And imagine how powerful that must have felt for early humans who saw spirits in the trees and heard gods in the thunder.
It's almost like they were using music to bridge the gap between the physical world and the spiritual world.
Exactly. And we see hints of this in cave paintings, where figures are often depicted dancing and playing music in what seemed to be ritualistic contexts.
So music was more than just entertainment. It was deeply embedded in their beliefs and rituals.
Absolutely. It was a way to express emotions, to tell stories, to connect with the supernatural. It was a fundamental part of their existence.
And it's amazing to think that this ancient tradition, this impulse to create music, still resonates with us today.
Right. I mean, we might not be hunting mammoths or appeasing spirits with our music.
Most of us, anyway.
Uh-huh, right. But we still turn to music for comfort, for connection, for inspiration.
It's still a way to express ourselves, to celebrate, to grieve, to connect with something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. And think about the instruments. The basic forms of drums and flutes, the use of natural materials, those elements are still present in music all over the world, even in modern electronic music.
It's like a thread connecting us back to those earliest musical expressions.
It is, and it makes me wonder, if we could travel back in time and hear the music of our prehistoric ancestors, what would it sound like? What emotions would it evoke?
What stories would it tell?
It's a thought that sends shivers down my spine. To hear those ancient melodies echoing across millennia.
And to realize that the power of music, that ability to move us, to connect us, is something that's been with us from the very beginning.
A true testament to the enduring spirit of humanity.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the fascinating world of prehistoric music.
A pleasure to be here.
Until next time.